Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar.com, and if you're interested in how to improve your timing on the bass guitar, please watch this lesson all the way to the end. I'd also like to introduce you to this little guy down here too. I'll catch you on the other side. So guys, we're going to be talking today about how to go around in improving your timing. I want to share some killer tips that I've learned along the way about subdivision, one of the most important techniques to improving your timing on any instrument, particularly the bass guitar. So the past month has probably been the most extraordinary month of my life, because this little guy right here called Oliver came into the world. This is in fact the first video I've made since he's been born, and over the last month I've been thinking super hard about the processes of life, how he's developing as a human. He's already starting to smile. It's totally amazing. It's made me think hard about how we learn, how the processes of this happen. I've been thinking very hard and going back to a fundamental idea called the 3 fundamental grooves that I talked about probably about a year or so ago. So please do watch that lesson first, but I want to take apart some really fundamental ideas of how to improve your timing and how we go about developing our internal sense of rhythm. You can almost link this, I guess, back to the rhythm of life and that kind of thing. So I'm going to be taking apart some fundamental ideas that probably were real light bulb moments for me, and really helped me improve my rhythm and improve my timing going forward. So I'm going to say goodbye from this little guy called Oliver. I'm sure this isn't the last that you're going to see of him on the eBassGuitar blog as we go forward. Anyway, I will see you in the lesson, and we're going to talk about subdivision and the 3 fundamental grooves and a concept called the groove matrix too. So guys, do you want to meet Oliver then? I think that's a yes. You going to give us a smile, Oliver? I think this has never worked with children. Oh, never worked with children or animals. So what I thought we'd do is we'd grab the bass guitar out. We're going to set up down here. I need to clear up a bit of the world of baby, which is everywhere, and we're going to get rocking. Hey guys, so today I want to talk about an idea which will really help your timing considerably. In fact, it was one of the light bulb moments when I really started connecting and learning with this stuff. So today I want to talk about subdivisions. Subdivisions are how we divide up the beat, and this all relates very closely to an idea that I shared a few months back, probably actually more like a year or so ago, called the 3 fundamental grooves. I believe that everything is more or less related to these 3 grooves, and if you learn and understand these particular grooves and their related subdivisions, you're in a really strong position to have a good understanding of music, but also good time and good rhythm. Obviously, everything I'm going to share today is my experiences with this stuff. With music, there are many different ways of skinning a cat, so to speak. So I would love it if you commented below and let me know whether you love these ideas, whether you hate them, whether you disagree with them. What's worked for you when it came to improving your timing? So let's talk about 3 fundamental grooves to begin with. The 3 fundamental grooves, I believe, all root back to these 3 ideas. The first one is the quarter note groove. So this relates very strongly to jazz. So let me play this to you. So this is largely walking bass. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there I was playing a jazz blues, and everything we were doing was relating back to quarter notes, and that's our basic walking bass feel. Now, the next groove that we're going to talk about is our 8th note rock groove. So across so many different styles of rock music and pop music, etc, etc. And the last of the 3 fundamental grooves is our 16th note groove. So 1, 2, 3, okay, and that's all 16th note based. So the first groove is quarter notes, the second note is 8th notes, and the third groove is 16th notes. Don't forget there's a download which goes with this called the Groove Matrix, which takes these ideas apart further and also gives you some recommended listening to do. So please do click on the post either above or below and you'll be able to download this and we'll send it to you right away. So let's take this a layer deeper and talk about subdivisions and pulse. Well, pulse is really the first thing that we want to talk about. We've got to have a strong connection to the pulse. I might be stating the absolute obvious here, but we need to feel the pulse within somehow. If we're not feeling that pulse strongly within, we're never ever, in my opinion, going to play really strong time and really strong rhythm. And in my opinion, having good time as a bass player is essential. It's better to have amazing time than ridiculous chops but not being able to play in time, if that makes sense. So this comes back to these ideas of pulse, and first one thing I want to get you thinking about is how do you feel the pulse? I would love you to comment below how you feel the pulse. I'm going to talk about a little bit how I feel the pulse. I feel the pulse fundamentally, number one, right in the middle of your chest. So you've got your heartbeat going on there, your fundamental pulse. And so I'm always feeling something deep within there. But what you will see musicians doing as well is tapping their foot too. And you will see me doing this as well. So you might see me going for the pulse there, but always one kind of layer deeper almost, I will have this pulse going on inside there too. So the two for me are connected. It's either there or it's there. And this will vary very slightly from player to player. If you watch the great Pino Palladino playing, you can often see his head doing this. He very strongly feels the groove and the pulse with his head. But this is all kind of well and good, and it's great to have the pulse going on like that, but sometimes we want to get our rhythm a kind of another layer more accurate, and that's the important thing, is the accuracy here. And how we do this is we do it by splitting it down into smaller chunks, and we call those subdivisions. And so this is where this kind of pulls back to these ideas of the 3 fundamental grooves going on. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the 8th groove to begin with. I feel that's a good place to start. So what we're doing is we're going to take our pulse, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and we're going to split it down the middle, and that's going to give us our core subdivision. And so we're going to get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And how I feel this on the gig, and this is the critical thing when I'm playing, is I have the pulse going on either in my foot or inside there, but I subdivide using my mouth, kind of going 1, like that. So it's almost slightly beatboxing actually, but that is how I do it. So I have a pulse here, and I have double the amount going on there. So 1 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is how I feel the pulse in that particular way. So I subdivide in with sort of almost with my mouth. Sometimes you can count it out like you hear me do, but also making a noise to it. You've got to be careful that that noise isn't too loud. I've been told off sometimes in quiet situations where I'm going, they can actually be heard around me. I had to get that habit out of my system probably about 10 years ago. But it's a very valid way to do it. You can have your tongue quietly moving inside your mouth or something like that. So there are various ways. Find your own way, but that's what works for me on that situation. When we go into 16th notes, we're literally doubling this up. So when we get comfortable with doing this, it makes our relationship to the subdivisions that we're playing in these particular grooves, be it 8th note, 16th notes, that much more accurate, because we're thinking in smaller subdivisions again. And this is why this is massively important. Now, I'm going to talk about the quarter note groove. This is often related to jazz music, and what we do in jazz music is we divide the beat by 3. This is what gives us our swinger feel. So, and what we do is we take the first and the third of those. So you'll often see me going. Now, it's worth saying I'm not doing this 100% all the time. I do it when I feel like I need a really strong connection to the pulse, and I'm sort of kind of zooming in and out of that kind of almost subconsciously, but it's definitely running away underneath the surface there, kind of floating along these subdivisions at all times. So when we go into jazz, we deal with these triplets, or if we're dealing with a 12/8 feel, so we might have a very slow 12/8 feel where we're dividing the notes by 3. So like that, and there's so much time between each note, it's very difficult sometimes to place those absolutely correctly. So having these subdivisions going on like this all the time is just so important, and it's what zooms in and laser sort of focuses your timing. So the acute among you will going, hold on, don't these all these kind of various noises that I'm making here, they kind of sound a little bit like the drums, don't they? I'm almost turning into a drummer going on here with the tapping and all this kind of thing, and that is kind of quite true. And these subdivisions are very strongly, well, they're entirely related to what the drummer does on his hi-hat, for instance. Okay, the two cymbals to the, if he's a right-handed drummer, to the left of him, or maybe if he's playing jazz, he'll be on the cymbal going ding, ding, da, ding, ding, da, ding, ding, da, getting that swing rhythm out of it. So these subdivisions are often coming from the drummer. So as a bass player, I always say lock into the kick drum as a matter of course, because that's often where our groove's going to become. But the second most important thing to really zoom in is our hi-hats. And there's a particular guitarist that I've worked with now for years who's a magnificent player, and when we're on a gig together, he will always go to the monitor engineer, more hi-hats. He just wants to be so connected to those subdivisions, more so than the kick drum or the snare drum. It's all about the hi-hats for him to play those funky guitar patterns. So what I urge you to do, your kind of action steps from this lesson, is analyze how you feel the pulse and find the best way to do it. Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your foot? Do you feel it in your head? But have some way of physically and almost kind of emotionally being connected to that pulse, that heartbeat which is going on in the music. Then think about your subdivisions. Now, I started learning this stuff, I really connected this when I was at music college. So it might take a little while for you to really feel confident in that. But once this started falling into place, I really felt like it was the secret to good time, good rhythm, and really being connected to what we do rhythmically. So start playing around with this. You could almost do an exercise where you're doing this, going like that, tapping your foot, going 1 and 2 out, or 1E and a 2E, and if you want to go into 16ths or triplets, 1 to da, 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 to get the jazz feel out of this one. So I urge you to go back and check out the 3 fundamental grooves. There's some real world examples there so you could hear what these grooves sound like if you're not sure. We'll link to this in the post here, of course. And also make sure you take the download which goes with it. It's called the Groove Matrix, where I've written a lot of this out visually so you can see what this actually kind of looks like on paper. But really, when you're listening to music, analyze, are we dealing with a quarter note groove? Are we dealing with an 8th note groove, or are we dealing with a 16th note groove? Once you get clarity on that, I feel everything just pulls back to those 3 core ideas, and then you can extrapolate out from that point forward. So hey guys, it's James here, back again, and of course Oliver down here. That's the end of the lesson today. So if you want to grab the resources from this lesson, grab the Groove Matrix download, please do click on the links either above or below this post and we will send that to you right away. If you've enjoyed this lesson, please do give it a like and share on social. Please also do comment below and ask me with any questions you've got and I'll get back to you. Once again, I think you might be getting hungry. So I'm going to dash off now and make him a bottle and I will see you on the other side. Cheers now.